Captain Maya Torres walked across the metal floor of her ship's bridge. Her boots made small clicking sounds with each step. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of computers and the breathing of her crew. Through the large window in front of her, she could see the black emptiness of space filled with tiny bright stars. Maya was 29 years old and had been fighting aliens for 3 years. She was not very tall, maybe 5 feet and 6 inches, with dark brown hair that she kept tied back in a tight ponytail. Her brown eyes were always moving, always watching for danger. She wore the dark blue uniform of the United Earth Space Navy, with captain's bars on her shoulders. Her ship was called the UES Vengeance. It was not the biggest ship in the human fleet, but it was fast and strong. Maya loved this ship like it was her home because in many ways it was. She had spent more time on the Vengeance than anywhere else in the past 2 years. Lieutenant Jake Miller sat at his station nearby. He was her tactical officer, which meant he helped her plan battles and track enemy ships. Jake was a few years older than Maya, with red hair and green eyes. He had been with her since she first became captain of the Vengeance. "Captain," Jake said, looking at his computer screen. "I'm getting readings on long-range sensors. Multiple ships coming out of hyperspace about 50,000 kilometers away." Maya walked over to Jake's station and looked at the screen. She could see several green dots appearing on the display. Each dot was an enemy ship. She counted them quickly. 5 large ships and 3 smaller ones. All of them were Zephyrian vessels. The Zephyrians were the aliens that humanity had been fighting for the past few years. They were much taller than humans, standing almost 8 feet high. Their skin looked like armor, dark and hard, like the shell of a crab. They had 4 arms instead of 2, which made them very good fighters. Their faces were long and narrow, with small black eyes that seemed to see everything. Maya had seen many Zephyrians during the war. Some were dead on battlefields. Others were prisoners that human forces had captured. She did not hate them, but she knew they wanted to destroy all humans. That made them her enemy. The war had started 20 years ago when humans first met the Zephyrians. At first, both sides tried to be friends. Human diplomats met with Zephyrian leaders. They talked about trade and sharing knowledge. For a few months, it seemed like humans and Zephyrians could live in peace, but the Zephyrians had been watching humans very carefully. They saw how quickly humans learned new technology. They saw how humans could adapt to new situations and solve problems. In creative ways, the Zephyrians had conquered many other alien species across the galaxy, and none of them had ever learned and grown as fast as humans did. This scared the Zephyrians. They decided that humans were too dangerous to live. If humans kept growing stronger, they might become a threat to the Zephyrian Empire. So the Zephyrians attacked human colonies without warning. They destroyed 3 entire planets before humanity even knew the war had started. Maya's father was Admiral Carlos Torres, one of the most important military leaders in the human fleet. He had taught Maya about space combat since she was a little girl. But Maya had not become a captain because of her father's help. She had earned her rank by fighting hard and making smart decisions in battle. The other officers in the human fleet had given Maya a nickname. They called her the Ghost of the Void because her ship seemed to appear and disappear during battles. Maya would attack enemy ships when they least expected it, then vanish before they could fight back. This tactic had helped her win many battles against larger enemy forces.
"Captain,"
said Lieutenant Sarah Bell from the communications station. "The enemy ships are moving toward us. Their course and speed suggest they'll reach us in about 15 minutes. Maya nodded. Sarah was young, maybe 25 years old, with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was very good at her job and always stayed calm during battles. Maya trusted her completely. Maya looked around the bridge at her crew. There were 12 people working at different stations. Each person had an important job to do. They all looked nervous, but they were ready to fight. Maya had trained with these people for months. She knew they would do their best. The Vengeance had a crew of 97 people total. Most of them were in other parts of the ship, working in the engine room, the weapons bay, or other important areas. Maya knew the name of every person on her ship. She cared about all of them like they were her family. Jake, Maya said, "What kind of ships are we facing?" Jake looked at his screen. Again, 3 large cruisers, 2 destroyers, and 3 scout ships. The cruisers are the biggest threat. Each one has enough firepower to destroy us if we're not careful. Maya thought about this. 8 enemy ships against 1 human ship seemed like bad odds. Most captains would try to run away from such a fight, but Maya had learned something important during her years of fighting Zephyrians. They were strong and had good weapons, but they were not very creative. They always fought the same way, using the same tactics over and over. Humans were different. Humans could think of new ways to solve problems. When the normal way did not work, humans would try something else. This was humanity's greatest strength in the war against the Zephyrians. "Set course for the asteroid field near the mining station," Maya ordered. "Full speed." "Captain," Jake said with worry in his voice, "the asteroid field is dangerous. If we hit one of those rocks at high speed, it could destroy us." It was not a happy smile, but the kind of smile someone makes when they have a clever plan. It's exactly what the Zephyrians will think too. They won't expect us to hide in there. Their big ships can't move fast enough between the asteroids. Mining station that Jake mentioned was called Kepler Station. It was built near a large field of asteroids that contained valuable metals. Human miners had been working there for 5 years, sending minerals back to Earth. The station had 30,000 people living on it, including many families with children. Maya knew that if the Zephyrians captured or destroyed Kepler Station, all those people would die. She could not let that happen. It was her job to protect human lives, even if it meant risking her own ship and crew. The Vengeance turned and began moving toward the asteroid field. Maya could feel the ship's engines working hard as they picked up speed. Soon they would reach the asteroids, and the real battle would begin. The EU's Vengeance moved quickly through space toward the asteroid field. Maya stood on the bridge, watching the large rocks grow bigger on the screen as they got closer. Some asteroids were as small as cars, others were as big as buildings. Spun slowly in the darkness, lit only by the distant light of the system's star. "Captain," Jake said from his station, "the Zephyrian ships are following us. They're about 8 minutes behind us now." Maya nodded but did not look away from the asteroids ahead. She was counting the spaces between the rocks, looking for the best path through them. The Vengeance was smaller than the enemy ships, which meant it could fit through gaps that the big Zephyrian cruisers could not use. "Sarah," Maya called to the communications officer. "Send a message to Commander Lisa Park on the UES Defiant and Captain Ryan Brooks on the UES Stalker. Tell them to meet us at coordinate 77 Alpha in the asteroid field." Moved quickly over her control panel. Message sent, Captain. Both ships confirmed they received it and are moving to the meeting point. Maya was glad that 2 other human ships were nearby. The Defiant and the Stalker were both smaller ships like the Vengeance, but together, the 3 ships might have a chance against the larger Zephyrian force. Maya had worked with Lisa and Ryan before. They were both good captains who knew how to think fast during battles. The Vengeance reached the edge of the asteroid field and slowed down. Maya watched carefully as her pilot, Lieutenant Danny Cooper, guided the ship between the floating rocks. Danny was one of the best pilots in the human fleet. His hands were steady on the controls as he steered around asteroids that came very close to the ship's hull. "Entering the asteroid field now," Danny reported. "So far so good, Captain." Maya could hear the worry in his voice, even though he was trying to sound calm. Flying through an asteroid field was dangerous, even when no one was shooting at them. One mistake could send them crashing into a rock at high speed. 5 minutes later, the Vengeance reached the meeting point where the other 2 human ships were waiting. The Defiant was a destroyer with heavy weapons, and the Stalker was a fast attack ship with powerful engines. Together, the 3 ships formed a small but dangerous force. "Captain Torres," came Lisa Park's voice over the radio. "Good to see you again. What's the plan?" Maya looked at the tactical display on Jake's screen. The Zephyrian ships had reached the edge of the asteroid field, but had not entered it yet. They were moving slowly, probably trying to find the best way through the rocks without damaging their ships. "Listen carefully," Maya said into her microphone. I've been studying Zephyrian shield technology for months. Their shields are very strong, but they have one weakness. Every 43 seconds, the shields cycle their power. For exactly 2.3 seconds, there's a gap in their protection.
Oh.
Ryan Brooks spoke up from the stalker. That's a very small window. Maya, how can we hit all their ships in just 2.3 seconds? Maya smiled. This was the kind of problem that humans were good at solving. We don't attack all at once. We coordinate our strikes. Jake has been tracking their shield cycles. Give the signal. Each ship will target a different enemy vessel. We hit them during their vulnerable moment, then disappear back into the asteroids before they can respond. Lisa understood immediately. Guerrilla tactics. Hit and run. The Zephyrians won't expect that from such a small force. The first Zephyrian ship entered the asteroid field. It was one of the large cruisers, moving very slowly and carefully. Maya watched as the alien vessel tried to navigate between the rocks. The ship was so big that it had to take a very indirect path, which made it an easy target. Jake, Maya said quietly, "Start tracking that cruiser's shield cycle. I want exact timing." Jake's eyes were glued to his instruments. Shield cycle beginning. Now, Captain. Counting down, ... 40, 39, 30-8, ... Maya, open the communication channel to the other ships. All vessels, prepare to attack. Target the lead cruiser. Wait for my signal. The seconds felt very long as Maya waited. She could see the Zephyrian cruiser getting closer, its dark hull reflecting the light from nearby asteroids. The ship looked dangerous with its sharp angles and weapon ports along its sides. 10 seconds, Jake announced. 5, 4, 3, 2, ... All ships, fire now. Maya shouted. The Vengeance shot forward from behind a large asteroid, its weapons blazing. Bright beams of energy struck the Zephyrian cruiser just as its shields flickered off for their brief power cycle. At the same moment, the Defiant and Stalker attacked from different directions, their weapons hitting the same target. The Zephyrian ship shuddered as the human weapons tore through its unprotected hull. Explosions bloomed along its side and pieces of metal flew off into space. The cruiser tried to turn and fight back, but the human ships had already disappeared behind asteroids again. Direct hit, Jake reported with excitement. The cruiser's engines are damaged. It's not moving very fast anymore. Maya felt good about the successful attack, but she knew the battle was far from over. There were still 7 more enemy ships, and now they knew that humans were hiding in the asteroid field. The second Zephyrian ship. Another cruiser entered the field more carefully. This time, it brought 2 smaller escort ships with it. The aliens had learned from what happened to the first cruiser and were being more cautious. They're adapting, Lisa Park said over the radio. The escorts are scanning for us, Maya studied. The enemy formation on her screen, escorts were smaller and faster than the cruisers, which meant they could move through the asteroids more easily. But Maya noticed something important. The escorts were staying very close to the cruiser, to protect it. This grouped all 3 ships together in a small area. New plan, Maya announced. We're going to use the Kepler Station debris field. 6 months ago, Zephyrian raiders had attacked Kepler Station and destroyed several mining platforms. The wreckage was still floating near the station, creating a field of twisted metal and broken machinery. Maya had an idea about how to use this debris to their advantage. The 3 human ships moved deeper into the asteroid field, heading toward the debris from the destroyed mining platforms. The wreckage was mixed in with the natural asteroids, making it even harder to navigate. But Maya had studied these coordinates many times. She knew exactly where the largest pieces of debris were located. "Danny," she said to her pilot, "take us to Section 4 of the debris field. Stay close to that broken mining platform." As the Vengeance moved into position, Maya explained her plan to the other captains. The debris field would hide them even better than the asteroids alone. More importantly, some of the wrecked mining equipment was still partially functional, including several large magnetic cranes that had been used to move metal ore. Maya's plan was brilliant in its simplicity. When the Zephyrian ships came close enough, the human ships would activate the magnetic cranes. The powerful magnets would grab onto the metal hulls of the enemy ships and hold them in place. While the aliens struggled to break free, the human ships would attack during the next shield cycle. 20 minutes later, the Zephyrian cruiser and its escorts reached the debris field. Maya watched them approach the area where she had positioned the magnetic cranes. The aliens had no idea what was about to happen. "Activate the magnets," Maya ordered. Jake pressed several buttons on his control panel. Deep in the debris field, 3 massive magnetic cranes came to life. Invisible magnetic fields reached out and grabbed onto the hulls of the Zephyrian ships. The aliens tried to move forward but found themselves stuck in place. "Now," Maya shouted. The 3 human ships emerged from hiding and attacked the trapped enemy vessels. This time, they had much longer than 2.3 seconds to aim and fire. The Zephyrian ships could not move to avoid the incoming weapons fire. Their shields were cycling just like before. The battle was over quickly. 2 escort ships were destroyed completely, and the cruiser was so badly damaged that it could barely move. The remaining Zephyrian ships outside the asteroid field saw what had happened and began to retreat. Maya had won an impossible victory against superior numbers. The battle would be remembered as the miracle at Kepler Station. News of the victory would spread across human space and beyond, reaching even the aliens who considered humans to be weak and primitive. But Maya did not feel like celebrating. She had lost 12 crew members during the fighting, including her friend Helen Price from the communications section. War always had a cost, and Maya was beginning to understand that the price of victory was often higher than anyone wanted to pay. 6 months had passed since the battle at Kepler Station. Maya Torres was no longer just a captain. The human military leaders had promoted her to admiral and given her command of the 3rd Human Fleet. She now controlled 15 ships instead of just 1. Her new flagship was called the UES Retribution, and it was much larger and more powerful than the Vengeance. Maya stood in the war room of the Retribution, looking at a large map of the galaxy displayed on the wall. Red dots showed where Zephyrian forces were located. Blue dots marked human positions. The war was going better for humanity now, but it was far from over. Admiral Peter Kane walked into the room. He was an older man with gray hair and many years of military experience. Peter commanded the 1st Human Fleet and was one of Maya's most trusted allies. "Maya," Peter said, "we just received some troubling news from intelligence. The Zephyrians have put a bounty on your head. 10 million credits for your capture, dead or alive." Maya was not surprised. After Kepler Station, her name had become famous throughout human space. But she had also learned that the Zephyrians were talking about her too. Enemy prisoners spoke of Torres the Relentless with fear in their voices. Some Zephyrian soldiers had even refused to fight in battles where they might face her ships. 10 million is a lot of money," Maya said calmly. "I suppose I should feel honored." Peter did not smile. "This is serious, Maya. They've sent their best hunter after you. War Commander Zexthura. He's never failed to capture or kill a target." Maya had heard of Zexthara. He was different from most Zephyrians. Where others fought in large groups using overwhelming force, Zexthara preferred to hunt alone. He was smart, patient, and very dangerous. His ship was faster than most Zephyrian vessels, and he knew how to use hit-and-run tactics, just like Maya did. "What do we know about him?" Maya asked. "He's been hunting high-value targets for 20 years, Peter replied. "He's killed or captured over 50 enemy commanders from different species. His ship is called the Void Stalker. It has advanced stealth technology that makes it very hard to detect." Maya studied the star map again. Zexthara was coming for her. She needed to be ready. But she also had other responsibilities. The 3rd Fleet was supposed to patrol the Centauri sector and protect human colonies there. "I won't hide from him," Maya decided. "If he wants to hunt me, let him try. But we'll continue our normal missions. The colonists need protection more than I need to worry about one Zephyrian hunter." Over the next 2 weeks, Maya's fleet moved through the Centauri sector, escorting supply ships and checking on remote outposts. Everything seemed normal, but Maya knew that Zexthara was out there somewhere, watching and waiting for the right moment to strike. Lieutenant Commander Jake Miller was still with Maya, now serving as her fleet tactical officer. He had been promoted. along with her, and was responsible for coordinating all 15 ships in the fleet. Jake spent most of his time studying sensor data, looking for any sign of enemy activity. Admiral Jake said one morning, "I'm seeing some strange readings in the outer system. Ships dropping out of hyperspace for just a few seconds, then jumping away again. Could be nothing. But it could be someone studying our patrol." "Patterns," Maya finished. "Zexthera." "What?" Maya called a meeting with her ship captains. She explained the situation and warned them to be extra careful, but she also told them not to change their normal operations. If they acted afraid, it would only encourage the hunter. The cat-and-mouse game began in earnest the next day. Sensors detected a fast ship following her fleet at long range. Wherever her ships tried to investigate, the contact would disappear. Zexthera was testing their responses, learning how they moved and reacted. "He's good," Maya admitted to Jake. "Very patient. He's not going to attack until he's sure he can win." 3 days later, Zexthera made his first real move. Maya's fleet was escorting a convoy of supply ships when the hunter struck. He attacked the rear ship in the convoy, a transport called the New Hope, then disappeared before Maya's escorts could respond. The New Hope was badly damaged but not destroyed. Maya realized that Zexthera was not trying to destroy her ships. He was trying to separate her from the fleet. If Maya broke formation to rescue damaged vessels, she would become vulnerable to a follow-up attack. "He wants me to act emotionally," Maya told her staff. "He's hoping I'll chase after him and leave my fleet behind." But Maya had learned to think like her enemies while keeping her human creativity. She came up with a plan that was both logical and unexpected. Instead of chasing Zexthera, she would make him come to her. Maya sent most of her fleet to escort the damaged convoy to safety, but she kept 3 ships with her. 2 outside observers, it would look like she had made a mistake, leaving herself with only a small force, but Maya had chosen her remaining ships very carefully. The Retribution stayed, of course, along with 2 other vessels. The EU's Thunder was a heavy cruiser with powerful weapons, and the UES Shadow was a fast scout ship with excellent sensors. Together, they formed a balanced fighting force. Maya took her small group to the Proxima Nebula, a cloud of gas and dust that interfered with sensors and communications. The nebula was a dangerous place to fight because ships could not see each other clearly. But Maya was counting on that confusion to help her. "If I was Zexthera," Maya said to Jake, "I would think. This is the perfect opportunity. 3 human ships alone in a place where they can't get help from the rest of the fleet." Maya was right. 2 days after entering the nebula, Zexthera attacked. His ship, the Voidstalker, emerged from the gas clouds with 2 escort vessels. The hunter had brought friends, which told Maya that he respected her abilities enough to not face her alone. The battle in the nebula was unlike anything Maya had experienced before. Ships appeared and disappeared in the swirling clouds of gas. Weapons fire lit up the darkness for brief moments before the shooters vanished again. It was like fighting ghosts. Zexthera was a skilled opponent. His ship moved through the nebula like it belonged there, appearing just long enough to fire a few shots before disappearing again. Maya found herself admiring his technique, even as she tried to destroy him. "He's using the gas density to hide his approach," Jake reported. "I can't get a solid lock on his position." Maya studied the sensor display, looking for patterns in Zexthera's attacks. The hunter was good, but he was still following Zephyrian military doctrine. He favored attacking from above and behind, using the natural blind spots that most ships had. "Danny," Maya called to her pilot, "take us down into the thickest part of the nebula. Use the gas density to mask our movement." The Retribution dove deeper into the nebula, followed by the Thunder and Shadow. Maya was gambling that Zexthera would follow them, thinking he had trapped them in an area where they could not maneuver. Easily, the trap worked. Ship. And his escorts followed Maya into the dense gas clouds, probably thinking they could finish off the human ships in close combat. But Maya had prepared a surprise for them. Before entering the nebula, Maya had programmed a series of sensor probes and hidden them throughout the gas clouds. When Zexthera's ships came close enough, the probes activated and began transmitting targeting data to Maya's vessels. Suddenly, Maya could see exactly where the enemy ships were, even through the dense gas. But Zexthera could not see her ships. Clearly, because his sensors were still being blocked by the nebula. "All ships, fire on my mark," Maya ordered. "Target the escort ships first, then focus on Zexthera." The battle was swift and decisive. Maya's ships emerged from different directions at the same time, their weapons firing in perfect coordination. The two escort ships were destroyed within seconds, and Zexthera's vessel was surrounded before he could escape. "This is Admiral Torres," Maya said over the radio. "War Commander Zexthera, your ship is surrounded and damaged. Surrender now, and your crew will be treated according to the rules of war." There was a long silence before Zexthera responded. When he spoke, his voice was calm and respectful. "Admiral Torres, you have fought with great skill and honor. I surrender my ship and crew to you." Maya had captured the most famous hunter in the Zephyrian military. The news would spread quickly through enemy ranks, and Maya knew that her reputation would grow even larger. She was no longer just a successful captain or admiral. She was becoming something that even her enemies feared and respected. But as Maya watched Zexthera's ship being taken into custody, she realized that the war was changing her. She was becoming harder, more calculating. The young captain who had worried about her crew's safety was still there, but she was now balanced by an admiral who understood that sometimes difficult choices had to be made. The galaxy was taking notice of Maya Torres, and she was only getting started. Maya Torres sat across from War Commander Zexthera in the detention room aboard the Retribution. The Zephyrian hunter was even taller than she had expected. Nearly 8 feet in height, with dark armor-like skin and 4 powerful arms. But his small black eyes showed intelligence, and something that surprised Maya, respect. "You fight differently than other humans," Zexthera said in his deep voice. He spoke English well, though with a strange accent. "Most of your kind rely on luck and desperation. You use strategy and patience." Maya leaned forward in her chair. "I want to understand something. Why do your people fear me so much that they put a 10 million credit bounty on my head?" Zexthera was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was thoughtful. "Among my people, there is a concept called Kethmara. It means a warrior so skilled and feared that even enemies must acknowledge their greatness. You have achieved Kethmara, Admiral Torres?" This was not what Maya had expected to hear. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means that junior officers refuse missions where they might face you. It means that veteran soldiers speak your name in whispers. Some of our ships have retreated from battles simply because they received reports that you were in the area." Realized that her reputation had become a weapon more powerful than any ship or gun. The psychological impact on enemy morale was devastating to Zephyrian military effectiveness. Fear of her name was winning battles before they even began. "There is something else you must know," Zexthera continued. "My people are planning a final assault on your homeworld. A massive fleet is gathering at Arcturus Prime. If they succeed in destroying Earth, this war will be over." Aya felt cold fear in her stomach. Earth was home to 12 billion humans. If the Zephyrians reached the planet, it would be the end of everything humanity had built. "How much time do we have?" Maya asked. 6 weeks? Maybe 7? The fleet is large, but it takes time to coordinate so many ships. They are waiting for reinforcements from the outer territories.
Ow.
Maya stood up and walked to the small window in the detention room. Outside, she could see the stars that humanity now called home. Each point of light might have human colonies, families, children who deserved to live in peace. "Why are you telling me this?" Maya asked without turning around. "Because you showed me honor in battle? You could have destroyed my ship, but you offered surrender instead. My crew lives because of your mercy. This information is my gift to you." Asha. Maya returned to her chair and looked directly at the Zephyrian hunter. "If I could arrange for you and your crew to be exchanged for human prisoners, would you fight against Asha?" "Me again." Zexthera considered this question carefully. "Yes," he said finally. "But I would do so with respect for a worthy opponent. That is the way of warriors." Maya nodded. She could understand that kind of honor, even from an enemy. 2 hours later, Maya was in the main conference room with Admiral Peter Kane and Admiral Susan Gray. Susan commanded the 2nd Human Fleet and was known for her aggressive tactics and brilliant strategic mind. Together, the 3 admirals controlled most of humanity's military forces. Arcturus Prime is heavily defended, Susan said, studying the star charts on the table. It's deep in Zephyrian territory, surrounded by their strongest military bases. Even if we combine all 3 fleets, we'd be outnumbered 5-1, Peter agreed. It would be a suicide mission. We'd be flying straight into the heart of their empire. Maya looked at her fellow admirals. Both were older and more experienced than she was. But she had learned things during her battles that they might not understand. What if being outnumbered is exactly what we need? Maya said. Think about it. The Zephyrians will expect us to defend Earth, not attack their staging area. They won't be prepared for an assault on Arcturus Prime, even if we surprise them, Susan said. We still have to fight our way through their entire fleet. The casualties would be enormous, Maya spread out detailed intelligence reports that she had gathered from captured Zephyrian officers over the past months. I've been studying their fleet formations and command structure. They have one critical weakness. All their ships receive orders from a central command vessel. If we can disable or destroy that ship, their entire fleet will be confused and disorganized. Peter examined the reports more closely, talking about Operation Prometheus. The plan we discussed last month? Maya nodded. Operation Prometheus was her most ambitious strategy yet. Instead of waiting for the Zephyrians to attack Earth, humanity would strike first at their staging ground. It was dangerous and would require perfect coordination between all human forces. I've run the simulations dozens of times, Maya said. If we can create enough chaos in their formation and take out their command ship quickly, we can win. But it has to be a complete surprise attack. The 3 admirals worked for 6 hours, planning every detail of the operation. They would combine all 48 ships from the 3 human fleets into one massive strike force. Maya would command the operation from the Retribution, with Peter and Susan leading separate attack groups. 3 weeks later, the human fleet approached Arcturus Prime. Maya stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the enemy base grow larger on the main screen. The Zephyrian staging area was enormous, with hundreds of ships docked at orbital platforms around the planet. All ships report ready, Jake announced from his station. He had been promoted to Fleet Operations Commander and was responsible for coordinating the entire attack. Maya opened the communication channel to address all 48 ships in the human fleet. This is Admiral Torres. Today we strike a blow that will end this war. We fight not just for victory, but for the survival of our species. Every human who has ever lived, and every human yet to be born, depends on what we do in the next few hours. The attack began at exactly 0800 hours. Maya's fleet emerged from hyperspace in 3 groups, appearing simultaneously at different points around Arcturus Prime. The Zephyrians were caught completely off guard. Many of their ships were still docked and unable to fight immediately. Maya led the center attack group straight toward the Zephyrian command ship, a massive vessel that looked like a floating fortress. Enemy fighters swarmed out to intercept them, but Maya's pilots were ready. The space around Arcturus Prime filled with laser fire and explosions as hundreds of ships fought desperately. Target the command ship's communication array, Maya ordered. Cut off their ability to coordinate their fleet. Retribution and 5 other human ships focused their fire on the enemy command vessel. Maya watched as their weapons tore through the ship's defenses, destroying antenna arrays and sensor equipment. Within minutes, the Zephyrian fleet began to show signs of confusion as individual ship captains lost contact with their commanders. The battle lasted 18 hours. Maya coordinated multiple fleet elements, exploited weaknesses in enemy formations, and demonstrated the kind of strategic thinking that had made humans so dangerous to the established galactic powers. Human ships darted between larger enemy vessels, striking at weak points and disappearing before the Zephyrians could respond effectively. As the hours passed, Maya's tactical genius became clear to everyone watching. She anticipated enemy movements, turned their strengths against them, and created opportunities where none had existed before. Her reputation as an unstoppable force became reality as the Zephyrian defense collapsed. Under her assault, when the main command ship finally exploded, in a brilliant flash of light, the remaining Zephyrian forces began to retreat. The battle was over. Humanity had won the most decisive victory in the war. 1 week after the Battle of Arcturus Prime, representatives from the Zephyrian Empire arrived at the neutral station Deep Space Nine to discuss peace terms. The war that had lasted for years was ending because one human woman had become two. Dangerous to fight against, Maya Torres stood in the observation deck of the Retribution, looking out at the stars. She was now Fleet Admiral, the youngest person ever to hold that rank in human history.
The Galactic Council had offered her a position as military advisor. And even former enemies spoke her name with respect and fear. But for Maya, the most important
thing was simpler. Humanity was safe. Children on Earth and the colonies could grow up without fear of alien invasion. The species that had started as explorers and dreamers would continue to reach for the stars. Maya Torres had become exactly what the title promised, a legend born from the fears of her enemies, forged in the fire of impossible battles, and remembered across the galaxy as proof that sometimes the greatest victories come from those who refuse to surrender. Her name would echo through history, inspiring future generations of humans who would carry the torch of exploration and discovery to distant worlds. The girl who had grown up hearing war stories had become the subject of legends that would be told for centuries to come.